Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka Mono Blue Tron, back again with another episode of 10-Minute Testing. So, upon hearing my cries of less bad legacy support and more retrains, Konami has obliged with a new batch of Thunder Dragon monsters. Really, Thunder Dragon, tell me, what is the identity of Thunder Dragon? Outside of, Jesus Christ, my opponent is playing some supremely degenerate FTK? Oh well. Anyway, let's take a look at what we've been gifted by Konami this time and pray that it's not generic plus the archetype. So here's the list, and as you can see, there's about 15 different engines in here. As always, I'll give you a little bit of background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and as always, the card by card. So firstly, for those of you that don't know, Thunder Dragon is, he's a big green dragon. He has thunder around him. I don't know how else to describe him. That is basically his only defining characteristic. Anyway, he was featured in every single FDK deck for decades until extra linking Power Crept, killing your opponent in their standby phase with Magical Explosion. Aside from that, the card really didn't have any particular identity, which is why I was surprised it was selected as a candidate for retrains. The retrains, however, are pretty cool. Each of them has an effect, occasionally quick, that can be activated from the hand to add cards to your hand, special summon a monster from your graveyard, or give a monster a small attack boost. They also have effects when they're banished or sent to the graveyard from the field, so cards like Gold Sarcophagus are right at home here. Alongside these new monsters, the archetype received two fusion monsters, one that's a contact fusion for any singular Thunder monster, provided another Thunder monster has activated its effect in the hand this turn, and another that pops cards as hand effects are activated. Basically, they facilitate a game plan in which you sit behind Mistake for a turn, then special summon a huge honkin dragon, pop a couple of your opponent's cards, and start attacking. This list is designed to make that play as often and as consistently as possible. Because we have to send a Thunder monster to the graveyard in order to special summon the fusion monster, and because none of the high-level Thunder Dragon monsters fulfill that condition, we're playing a suite of Thunder-type monsters that can be normal summoned and replace themselves when they are summoned. Things like Battery Man 9-Volt and Bro Hunter. Because we're on Bro Hunter, we've also got a cool package of searchable floodgatey monsters, 3 Denko Sekka, 1 Thunder King Ryo, and a Sis Hunter, who keeps the cycling coming in the unlikely scenario that we will have time to make 3 of any given fusion monster. Hopefully, the hand trap lineup and the scapegoats will be enough to befuddle our opponents enough that they won't be able to beat a 3200 attack behemoth with protection. So with that, let's get into the card by card. First are our Thunder Dragons. 3 Bestial, who adds a Thunder Dragon from the graveyard or banished zone to the hand, and when banished, specials a Thunder Dragon from your deck. 3 Avian, who special summons a Thunder Dragon from the graveyard or the banished zone, and when banished lets you Magical Mallet. 3 Bolt Thunder, a really good one, who adds a Bolt Thunder, this is broken in practice, and when banished adds a Thunder Dragon card. Last of the newbies is 3 Origin Thunder, who gives a monster 500 attack at quick speed, and when banished adds Origin Thunder to your hand. Finally, we've got 3 of Old Degenerate himself. Next we have our Fuelers, 3 copies of Battery Man 9-Volt and 3 Bro Hunter, followed by 3 Denko Sekka, 1 Sis Hunter, and 1 Ryo. For hand traps, we're on 3 Ash, the most versatile, and 3 Ogre, since we need that game state simplified. For spells, we've got 3 copies of Gold Sarcophagus and 3 Scapegoat, followed by 2 Infip. In the extra, we've got 2 Thunder Dragon Lord, who can be special summoned by banishing the littler Thunder Dragon fusion and a Thunder monster in hand, which is why Bro and 9-Volt matter so much, destroys a card when a Thunder effect is activated from the hand, and can protect itself by banishing 2 cards from the graveyard when it would be destroyed. We've also got 2 Superbolt Thunder, who can be summoned by tributing a Thunder the turn a Thunder effect was activated in the hand, has a Mistake attached, and can protect itself by banishing 1 card. After that are the links, Topologic, Borreload, Trisbania, Nightmare's Unicorn, Phoenix and Cerberus, 2 Kanamari's Summer Vacation, Mrs. Radiant, Link Spider, and Link Haribo. So with that, let's jump into the games. Our first match is up against Gravekeeper, which is kind of fitting when you think about it, because Gravekeeper is another deck that randomly got a bunch of legacy support for no reason. Unfortunately, our opponent's going first, and they have a copy of Royal Tribute. Why this card is still legal, I have no idea. It's so unfun. They're going to activate the effect of Commandant to get a copy of Necro Valley to their hand. We will Ash Blossom in response, but surprise, surprise, this deck plays 100 different ways to get Necro Valley. Here is another. They're going to normal summon a Recruiter, then activate Royal Tribute. We'll chain Bolt Dragon to get another Bolt Dragon to our hand for some reason, and then send them all to the graveyard. Hopefully this Scapegoat will be enough. Bro Hunter is one of the best remaining draws in our deck, so I'm feeling pretty good about it. They're going to go ahead and attack directly. One thing Gravekeeper cannot do is assemble lethal, so in the end phase we'll flip up this copy of Scapegoat, and now we have a lot to work with. We're going to start by drawing, and what do we find about, a copy of Denko Sekka. That's going to look really good against that set Solemn Strike. We're going to go into a Link Spider, go into a Nightmare Phoenix to destroy this copy of Necro Valley. We draw Thunder Dragon, what a +1, then go into Nightmare Unicorn to get this Recruiter off their side of the field, and into Bolt Dragon. Unfortunately, that triggers the effect of Solemn Strike because our Denko is no longer on our side of the field, but I am satisfied with dealing 4,000 points of damage to my opponent's life points. They fade a draw step, and we get to draw. We could tribute for Thunder Dragon here, but unfortunately it is not lethal, so we will just BM a little little bit and get in for 2,500 points of damage, passing it back to our opponent one more time. What do they draw but basically a vanilla. They'll go ahead and set it, and that should be the end of the game. We draw into a copy of Ryo. We're going to normal summon him, go to battle phase, attack over it, and then attack directly for lethal. Our second match is up against Sky Striker 60 card, and we've both sort of bricked. They don't want to see Malicious, we don't want to see 2 copies of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, especially going first, but thankfully our bricks are never particularly bad. This deck is just so adept at finding its individual pieces that we can still make things happen. We're going to start by activating this copy of Gold Sarcophagus. That's going to banish a copy of Black Bolt Dragon. We'll use its effect to get a copy of Thunder Dragon to our hand, get a couple more, then normal summon a Battery Man 9-Volt, add another to our hand, and go into Super Bolt, set 1, and pass. Our opponent's going to draw into a copy of Rhoda they can't activate, then they'll activate Hornet Bit to go into Kagari, get back Hornet Bit. You've probably seen this play a couple of times. Get themselves another token, normal summon a Fairy Tale Snow, flip our Super Bolt face down, then go into Nightmare Phoenix. I don't want to, but I will Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit this, as well as flip up this copy of Scapegoat. Thankfully, our opponent can't do much more. They're going to activate this copy of Reinforcement of the Army, having used their normal summon already, to get another copy of Raiden, then end on Shizuku. That's going to get them a copy of Widow Anchor to hand, but hopefully there won't be another turn. Our Black Bolt is at 1, we're going to flip up our Super Bolt, go into a Linkuriboh off the new extra monster zone, go into a Cerberus, get Linkuriboh back, and go into a Phoenix, just to make a couple of beaters, then go into Thunder Dragon Lord off the effect of Black Bolt Dragon. We'll then destroy the Shizuku by activating Black Bolt Dragon's effect, use 9-Volt to get another 9-Volt, it's at 2,000, and it's time to beat in for lethal. On the last attack, our opponent's going to activate the effect of Snow, but unfortunately, by banishing their entire hand, they are in a position where they cannot win, and they concede anyway. So it's time for game 3, and you know what that means, a best of 3 versus meta. Our opponent is playing True Draco, which is really bad news, except for the fact that they have a lot of cards that are particularly bad against us, things like Rivalry of Warlords and Gozen Match, so maybe we can win a couple of games as they draw dead. Unfortunately, they haven't here, and they get to start. They're going to use Dragonic Diagram to destroy that rivalry, trib over a copy of Heritage for Knuckles, and pass it back to us. We have a couple of Origins in our hand, so we'll normal summon an Origin, use Origin on Origin, proccing the effect of Knuckles, of course, then getting ourselves a copy of Super Bolt, who gets Solemn Struck. Well, that's our normal summon, so we'll pass it back to our opponent. They draw a Card of Demise, pretty good, so they'll attack for 2,800 points of damage, then in main phase 2, fire that off. Ash Blossom is at the ready, so they won't be drawing 3 cards this turn, except for the one off of Knuckles, the one off of Diagram, and the one off of Heritage. Okay, we didn't really stop anything there. We draw into Thunder Dragon, so we'll use his effect. Then afterwards, we can use the effect of Bro Hunter to go ahead and get another copy of a Thunder Monster to our hand. We're going to do just that, and ooh, Monarchs Erupt. Okay, well, we'll go into Super Bolt and Thunder Dragon Lord, but I don't think we can win this one. All he has to do is, destroy in the damage step, and there's really nothing we can do. He's going to go ahead and use True Draco Apocalypse to reduce it to 1,600 attack, then shuffle 3 cards back into his deck with Draco Phoenix, drawing another copy of Rivalry. At least he's fading draw steps. We can summon a copy of Danko Sekka, but that's basically all we can do, and its effects are negated anyway, so it's not of particular use. They're going to use Dragonic Diagram. I will activate the effect of Ash Blossom, so we live another turn as they don't get a monster. They will go ahead and go into battle phase, do 1950 points of damage to us. We'll draw into another monster whose effect is going to be negated. We'll use it, and then, of course, we will concede. So it's time for game 2, and oh god, we didn't draw any Thundies. Oh, shoot. Okay, maybe we can make this work. We have a copy of Scapegoat and a couple of hand traps alongside a pair of 9-Volts. We're going to go ahead and normal summon a copy of 9-Volt, get the remaining 9-Volt out of our deck. We'll set this Scapegoat and hope for the best. Of course, 9-Volt destroys itself at the end step, but what are you going to do? They're going to activate a copy of Terraforming to get themselves a copy of Dragonic Diagram, probably the best remaining draw in the deck, but thankfully we do have the Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit to stop it. They'll tribute for a copy of Ignis Heat, get in for 2,400, set 2, and then add a copy of True Draco Heritage after we activate Scapegoat in the end step. We'll worry about that next turn. So we can go into a Phoenix here. That's something at the very least. Maybe we can cycle one of these 9-Volts. We draw into a copy of Bestial Thunder Dragon, and now our plans change a little bit. We're going to go ahead and use Nightmare Phoenix's effect. Then we will tribute over this Linkuriboh after it gets Solemn Struck and attack into the Ignis Heat for 2,400, getting a Bolt Thunder Dragon when it's sent to the graveyard and returning it to our hand at the end step. So now we have access to the Thunder Dragon half of the deck. Our opponent tributes over this copy of True Draco Heritage, activates Waterfall of Dragon Souls, Prime Ash Bait, but unfortunately still gets to draw 2 off of this True Draco Heritage, one of which is a Dragonic Diagram, which gets Knuckles, and attacks over our remaining token. We can maybe still make this happen. We draw into a copy of Avian, and that's really excellent because it means we can get Bestial back from the graveyard. We're going to do just that, of course, triggering the effect of Knuckles, then we'll get a Thunder Dragon from deck, go into Thunder Dragon Lord, use the effect of Bolt Thunder Dragon, which allows us to destroy a card on the field. We will pick the Dragonic Diagram so they can't plus more, and then we'll start attacking over these weak, wimpy monsters. Our opponent draws into... oh my god, a Card of Demise, are you kidding me? Thankfully they draw into Solemn Strike, Gozen Match, which is probably the worst potential 3 cards possible. We thankfully are able to negate the destruction effect of True King's Return, and we get to plus off of these copies of Avian and Bestial that went to the Banished Zone. We'll use the effect of Thunder Dragon to proc the effect of Lord, and now we can get in, finally. Goes and Match is going to flip, but do absolutely nothing. We can get in for 900 and 3,200, not exactly lethal, but we have 5 cards in our hand versus the 3 our opponent has on board. They draw into another useless card and scoop it up. Alright, so maybe we can do this after all. This is game 3, we're going second, and while we do have a hand trap in our hand, it's not particularly good against this deck. Our opponent's going to start by firing off a Pot of Duality. What do they find but hot nothing? They'll take this copy of Rivalry of Warlords, then use Dragonic Diagram to destroy this True Draco Apocalypse. They get a Heritage, they'll draw 1 card, Tribute for Ignis Heat, Card of Demise, and set a whole bunch. Well, that's not ideal, but maybe we can still make it work. We're going to activate Bolt Thunder Dragon, and oh god. Alright, there's Monarchs Erupt. Well, we can attack over the Ignis Heat, which is something. We're going to go ahead and use 9 Volt to go into Bolt Thunder Dragon, attack over Ignis Heat, but unfortunately, Monarchs Erupt does not check until the end of my opponent's turn, so they get another turn of effect negation. They're going to activate this Pot of Duality, and what do they find but a Dynamite Knuckle who can get over our Thunderbolt pretty easily. They'll use Heritage to tribute and destroy our set card, then Heritage to draw as well. They're going to attack over Superbolt. That's going to do 200 points of damage to us, and now things are looking pretty bleak. They're going to activate Waterfall Dragon Souls to get themselves a copy of Ignis Heat. We're going to use Bolt Thunder Dragon, proccing the effect of Knuckles to get a copy of True King's Return. Oh boy, we'll normal summon a Ryo, go into another Super Bolt and a Thunder Dragon Lord, and we'll Magical Mallet as well, but without the ability to preserve itself, it goes immediately to the graveyard after being tributed over a True Draco Apocalypse. And this is just the end of the game. Our opponent in end step is going to get a monster back with his copy of True King's Return, get in for 27, 27, and 28. So we're back with a deck. It's weird. I don't like this deck. The Thunder Dragon stuff is kind of too slow or situational other than the cards that we're including, and while the ones that we are playing are pretty sweet at making Thunder Dragon Lord and Superbolt over and over again, that's not exactly enough to win games. Truthfully, it feels like it has a lot of the same problems that Metaphys does. It's a weird deck that does something completely foreign to most archetypal playstyles, and because of that, it has a hard time playing with others or keeping up with the exceptionally powerful generic options afforded to decks that play by the rules. Lord and Superbolt are undoubtedly good cards, but without consistent OTK ability, board-breaking prowess, or locks, it's probably not going to be good enough. So that's that. Sorry for the bad news. I like Thunder Dragon in a non-degenerate shell too, but sometimes you just gotta magically explode. If you want to see me play the decks I make on this show on stream, I'm on twitch.tv/monobluetron once a week, and if you have a certain idea for a deck or archetype you want to see me play on a future episode of this show, let me know in the comment section below or on my Discord. Otherwise, I will see you on Wednesday.